think recording we are live, so I will just switch off our starting scene screen. There we all are. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Welcome back.
Good morning.
Hello, hello, hello.
Awesome. All mics
Happy
are
holidays to y'all.
There's been some happy holidays too. I've been enjoying it.
There's some fun ending crazy game stuff this past week, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It just fun in general. Just watching like Chicago just completely explode, implode, whatever you want to call it, and then
Vegas doing the same thing the next day.
in Vegas.
I was like, I was thinking
thing.
to myself as it was happening. I was like, tomorrow we're gonna see the headline fired, and it's just gonna be Antonio Pierce instead.
Yeah, you don't see a head coach fired over a bad decision like that very often. But man, what the hell happened at the end of that
It's
game?
inexplicable what
It's
happened.
just-
Like you don't. It would be impossible to do that in a video game.
Right.
You know, and they try and simulate those things to make them as real as possible. It would be impossible to fail that bad in the video game.
Yeah,
So
I had people over, so I was just like, I kind of watching it and doing other things, and so I'm like, oh, going to overtime, cool. I don't have to pay attention, and then I look back, and the game's
final
over.
score. Yeah, and
Like, what the hell just happened?
yeah. What? No, I needed X more
dumbfounded.
points at a so and so, you know,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Or like you were watching Gibbs. Wait, no more points at a Gibbs?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it's so
crazy.
weird.
And so the reason I said like it'd be impossible to do that in a video game, and the reason I bring that up is because there's a lot of scenarios that are impossible to replicate on the video game, like things that have happened in real life in you know the NFL, that unless you are like a very skilled player with the sticks and it's just impossible to tackle you, like are really impossible to replicate, like that the Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes battle from the playoffs a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
Like, good luck trying to do that on a video game, trying to score that fast, both of you.
That many
know,
times.
You and your opponent score that fast. For them to do that, for them to screw up that bad in a league where teams like we have literally seen multiple teams score touchdowns with the amount of time and timeouts that they have left.
That's a funny way to put it. Yeah.
They started that time frame that's like 36 seconds or something like that with a timeout in field goal position.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me, like, I gotta say that is my biggest pet peeve. Watching football, my absolute, like, if I was a coach, my absolute biggest pet peeve, like, I might actually bench you even if you make $50 million a year, is if you take a sack that takes us out of field goal range.
All right.
That you just can't do it. I'm not going to tell you every single time we get down there, hey, we're in field goal range. You need to know that you can't take a sack. Once we are now in scoring range, the worst possible thing you could do is take a sack or turn the ball over. To me, they're equal. They're basically equal. And so,
No, it just doesn't make any sense.
and and you see it so much. It happened to Mahomes yesterday. Like, well, almost happened to Mahomes yesterday. They or day before yesterday. They ended up kicking like a 54-yard field goal or something like that with, you know, their third string kicker now.
Right.
And instead, because Mahomes took a sack on like I think it was on second down, not third down. You know, so it's those ones
just
are
so you have a chance to make
those ones are a
back,
little
yeah.
more forgivable. You know, you know, especially when you're Mahomes. But if you're not Patrick Mahomes, you're not one of these guys that has a ring on their finger.
Yeah.
Then you need to play smarter football.
Yep.
And I think these coaches got to do better in their decision making in terms of like when they decide to go for it and when they decide to kick the field goal.
They do make some strange decisions now
It has
you know,
gotten-
you hear something about analytics. I'm like, no, but that just doesn't make sense
just
now in this situation.
I'm sorry. That's just not that is just not like that. That's not mathing. That I understand that maths in a certain way. However,
Right.
you've got your analytics.
but let's take situation and other factors into account
and history.
And,
you know, like we've seen this before. I've seen this scenario before, and I've seen what happens when the team gets no points, and I've seen what happens when the team gets points.
Yeah.
And in these scenarios, you take the points, and it always ends up coming back to bite them, like especially the decisions early on in the game to not take points. Later on, there's so many times where you go, well, and it's almost every game now because of the way that they do it, like where you go, if they had just kicked that field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 3, in the second quarter with 8 minutes to go, when it was when they probably had no points at the time. It was probably like a 7-0 game, and it's just like they play as though they're at the end of the fourth quarter all game long, and that's just not how football is played. That's not how it's won. And there's important psychology that goes into getting points on the board that never gets talked about anymore. And when I was growing up watching football, it got talked about all the time. How important it is to get points on the board, to go from 0 to something on the board.
What a busy.
And morning, dude. The last thing I wanted to say about it is that what it kind of reminds me of is that, do you remember when they first instituted the 2-point conversion, and coaches would have these charts when to go for it and when not to go for it and stuff like that, like based on like specific scores? That's what it reminds me of. Is those, because those decisions were always stupid. And it would get coaches in these weird positions because it would be like the second quarter and they'd be choosing to go for 2 instead of just kicking the extra point because the chart told them to go for 2. And I feel like we're doing that with analytics. The analytics say to do it, so let's just do it. Yeah, no.
The thing about analytics is you got to do them from start to finish. You can't be like, this time we'll do it, and this time we won't, and this time we'll do it.
You either got to be on analytics or not. I think,
you got to play them from start to finish. You can't just nitpick when to apply it. So that means you go for 4th down every time, not just, you know what I mean, in order for the analytic to work itself out. But anyway, Homer minutes. Anybody got anything?
So
I was sad. God.
Yeah, me too. I'm
not sad.
Yeah. Hey, you predicted them to lose twice. They only lost once.
That's true. That is true.
But no, it was a tough loss, and we've got Cincinnati this week, which is another really tough in-division game. Cincinnati is much better than their record. They're actually favored today. So yeah, we got to go in and get it done in the division here. So got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, you guys got to get to Burrow.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That's
absolutely.
That's just
if he
puts
up 30 plus points on us, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I think so.
We just can't have that happen.
Your offense has been struggling.
Sorry, real quick. Brees Hall is in, if anybody out there was wondering.
Woo!
And Tajay Spears too, but who cares?
No Braylon Allen saving people.
Nope. Today. I had him lined up though in a couple of leagues.
I'm sure a lot of people did. So real quick for me, as you can see, I'm wearing this hat here as a result of Rico Dowdle not hitting an arbitrary 13.5 points, and I just want to go. I feel like I was right in spirit, though. That I was right. The principle of my argument was right. Did I do it right? Was that right? Did I hit it?
Not really, but you know. So how many points did he score?
So I think he ended up with like 10.9.
Okay,
but had a fumble lost.
I do remember seeing the fumble and going, "Well, that's that."
Yeah, not if he had scored though. And there were a couple times where they got down there and they just got stupid with the ball, and just like. Anyway, that was a frustrating scenario, but that was a really entertaining game. That was a great game. That was the Commanders game, is what we're talking about. Right. We had bet on Rico Dowdle, whether or not he would score 13.5 points, I think is what it was. Against the Commanders, and he came up with 10.9 and had a fumble loss and just did. I don't think he got a carry inside the 5, which is unusual. But then,
so he dowdled it.
Then on Thanksgiving, he goes and runs for over 100 yards and a couple of catches and a touchdown. So I think he's like 22 PPR points or something like that on Thursday. So it's like, okay, I knew I was right.
Different matchups, but yeah.
The Giants are better against the run than the Commanders.
Giants have packed it in for the season. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
I don't agree with that.
No, I mean, who's their quarterback?
Their quarterback. Well, it was Drew Lock. Drew Lock was the one playing.
Right. I mean,
but I thought
they literally packed it in for the season when they benched Jones. They're just like, okay, we're going for draft picks. We're gonna sit him so we don't have to pay him. Like,
well, yeah. No, I agree with that. That they weren't like Super Bowl bound or like
the head office has packed it in. I mean, players are different. They still want to win. I get all that, but the head office has packed it in, and we're like, all right,
yeah.
They're honestly rooting for losses at this point. They wouldn't say it out loud, but that is what they're rooting for.
But I mean, you could say the same. They're in exactly the same position as the Raiders were in on Friday.
Yeah.
And so
true. Yeah, the Raiders played it tough. That's true.
They played a great game. So I think that's it for Homer Minutes.
Yeah, I got much
You want to talk about?
I just, with the standings at the NFC West, I mean, we're going to need some help a little bit. We could win today. Seahawks could lose. Cardinals could lose. They're playing against teams that could potentially lose. Even the 49ers have a potential loss on the board today.
Yep.
Well, not Seahawks. I'm sorry. Seahawks probably going to win today. But other than that, it's just playing catch up with Seattle, and we will play them again. Mm-hmm. So, only because the division is so tight right now in the standings that we even really have a chance.
That was. I mean, that was a matchup against one of the Titans of the conference. One of the considered to be best teams. We're talking about Sunday Night Football, and it didn't look good for the Rams if you're because you're gonna have to play them again if you want to get to the Super Bowl or go through Detroit, and I think Detroit's better than Philly, that didn't look great. I want to say I had some of the most fun I've ever had playing fantasy football, like watching the end of Sunday Night Football. So if you guys remember, in my half PPR dynasty, I was 11-0.
Mm-hmm.
So playing around, playing a person twice for the first time, and that person had a bunch of buys, like Josh Allen, T. Higgins, Alvin Kamara was down all of these people, and so I was sending the memes about me being Thanos and him being Tony Stark with the depleted suit, and with 3 minutes to go in Sunday Night Football, I was down 142 and change to 112.
Okay.
Because he had DJ Moore scored something like 25 points or something like that.
Right. Cortland
Sutton had scored 2 touchdowns that day. He had started Chigo Okonkwo.
right. As you do.
as obviously. That was definitely, the call everybody was making, And the Eagles, so I'm down 30, and the Eagles have the ball with, like I said, with 3 minutes to go, and they're up 15, something like that. It's like 34-20 or something like that at this point, or 27-14 or 13, something like that. It was like 2 touchdowns. All they're looking to do is run the clock out. And I'm like, well, if Saquon breaks off another 70-yard run and then, the Rams don't pack it in and Stafford throws a touchdown to Kupp.
That's the only way, huh?
And if anybody remembers the end of the game, that is exactly what happened. Saquon breaks off another 70-plus yard touchdown right then. And then the Rams come out and drive all the way down the field and score a touchdown. Like Stafford throws to Kupp of 18 or 20 yards or something like that. And he had caught 2 passes on the way on the drive. And so at the end of Sunday Night Football, I was up 149 to 142.
So in 3 minutes, your fantasy team scored over 30 points.
Yes, 37 points.
to win. That's why we play fantasy football right there. Is for finishes like that.
That's why they play the game.
Yeah.
And then
that's an adrenaline rush right
and
there.
then
That's cool.
it's so crazy. So it still wasn't over though, because I have we both had one player left. I had Derrick Henry going on Monday night in the Harbowl, and he had Cameron Dicker.
Dicker the kicker.
And if you were watching Monday Night Football, Dicker kicks 250-plus yard field goals in the first half. And at one point, he was winning again. He was ahead, and then Henry broke off a couple of chunk runs, put me ahead, and I never trailed again. But
and Henry didn't really have that good of a game either. No touchdowns.
No touchdowns. It was the first time he didn't score. So there's at the end of it, I won 164 and change to 159 and change. He scored 17 points with his kicker on Monday Night Football. He finished with the second most points in the league. And I went and I looked back, and because we had played in week 1, he had the second most points in the league that week too. This is the team of destiny. I'm telling you, it is. It's been so much fun. I'm glad, I'm enjoying sharing it with everybody, and you don't know what's going to happen. You make decisions, and
I kind of figure you're going 16-1. But
see, it wouldn't be 16-1. It would be 14-0. Skip 15. It would be 14-1. Okay. Or if I go to the championship, it would be 15-1.
That's what I figured. 15-1.
Yeah.
Forgot about the bye. My bad.
But yeah, it's been insane.
You're going New England. See, you're wearing the New England, the jersey.
Hey, you're right.
For the New England.
We're trying to go undefeated right now, and the last 2 weeks of the regular. So we're 12-0 right now, and the last 2 weeks of the regular season are against teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. So we should, and my opponent started Mahomes, Kelsey, Pacheco, and Hunt against me, so it's already essentially over. And
that's a gift.
Right. Well, he does. His team is he's got a bunch of guys on. He traded for guys that are on IR and got picks and stuff like that. So he has. I think this is the person that I traded Brandon Ayuk to and got Cooper Kupp, which was just that feels like it was just the smartest thing. Because
it does now.
It would have been so hard to get him if I had let him play that Minnesota game. I traded for him, I think, the day before he came back in that Minnesota game, and he's just been amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, pick'em scores last week 13-11, 13-14 with Bezzy on top with the 14 wins.
Wow, those are some big numbers.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of games too.
Yeah,
we had more Thursday games too, right? And Friday.
Thursdays.
Oh, that's right.
And the Friday game. So
yeah,
it was more.
So who had the 13s?
Me and you did. Ken hit on.
You can't buy a week, bro.
Ken hit on one lone wolf and missed on 2. I think he missed on the Vikings Chicago game.
Oh, that one irritates me a little bit.
And then
the Bears should have won that game. The Bears suck. The Bears just suck. But yeah, I got you guys on the Dallas one.
Yes, you got us on the Dallas one.
And then the 49ers, that was like a kind of an honor bound pick, and I should have made.
And then me and Ken also lost on the Rams one. So that was also brought, but I had my lone wolf that I won, which was.
And then we all picked the Chargers to win on Monday night, which was dumb.
Right.
So yeah, those are the numbers. So starting off with our game today,
game number one,
Houston Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. -3.5 on the Texans. Over under is 44.5. -185 if you're betting on the Texans. Plus 154 if you're betting on the Jags.
Yeah, and this should be an ass whooping. I mean, that's what it should be.
It should be.
If everything goes according to plan. We were actually talking about this a little bit. Nico Collins and Joe Mixon are, obviously top of the top starts. Stroud has been a little bit iffy lately. I think he's probably somebody you could start this week in this situation. Jacksonville side, at least Lawrence is playing, so that gives you some hope for like your Brian Thomases and that kind of thing. So now your rookie, that your star rookie, is now available again. Yes, I'm speaking
Evan
to
Ingram
myself.
is a startable asset again.
Yeah.
Staying away.
Just he seems to have fallen down in the tight end rankings. It seems
Only-
like there's been a lot of
that-
tight ends that have come up.
Apparently, when Trevor Lawrence is not throwing the football, like you can sit Evan Ingram. That's
Just a complete Trevor Lawrence thing.
yeah. It seems that way. So, like anybody who was starting him, I probably just feel comfortable going back to starting him. It's not like you're going to run to the waiver. Who are you going to get off the waiver wire right
Well,
now?
I mean, if you had happened to pick up Taysom Hill or something like that, you'd still be starting, Taysom. There's a couple other tight ends like that. I can't.
Yeah, to me, those Taysom Hill is not somebody that we've been through this. The guy's 32 years old. It's not new. We've been doing this for like 10 years with him now. He's not somebody you've ever been able to count on week after week after week.
Correct.
He is.
But he
the
will score
ultimate-
35
He
from time to
can,
time.
but he did last week.
Yeah.
So the odds of him doing it this week are just so much lower than they were last week.
Or have they changed up the offense a little bit to
All right.
include him more, or
So-
you know what I mean?
They do that from time to time, but the thing is with everything that they ask him to do, because they never seem to just like ask him to do something that is productive for fantasy football and take him away from the responsibilities that break him down as a player. Because he's still out there lining up and blocking defensive ends on games where he's getting 15 plus carries. And so what ultimately happens is he gets hurt. It happens every time. And his injuries aren't usually season ending or super prolonged injuries. They're injuries where it's like, oh, Taysom Hill looks like he hurt himself on that play. Yeah, he's going to take a couple plays off. Comes back in, finishes the game, and then doesn't play next week.
I hear you, but from a fantasy perspective, if I had picked Taysom up off the waiver wire, or if I was streaming tight ends and ended up with Taysom, I'd be like, okay, cool, let's ride him and see what happens. He's a startable, playable asset. Anyway, back to this game.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
We're jumping ahead here.
On the other side, we talked about this for your guillotine league. It's a great day to start Nico Collins and Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Theoretically, Tank Dell has been super disappointing. I don't know if he just like needs another off season, to get over to completely heal up in his legs. But he just doesn't look the same, and he's just not getting the same amount of targets. Like his targets are much more random than it seemed like they were in his rookie season, where they were like drawing plays up for him and he was getting open.
Yeah, that definitely seems like there's a big difference from last season to this season. You're like, wait, it's not the same player. What's going on?
Right, exactly. And I think that's probably the biggest reason that C.J. Stroud has become a quarterback that if you're talking about one quarterback leagues, you can't really start him.
Most of the time, yeah.
Well, yeah.
This might be a matchup where if you're streaming,
this
or
is
whatever,
the only
but
matchup all season long where he has scored 20 plus points and 4 point per passing touchdown. This is the only one.
Yeah.
So if you've been waiting to start him and you're looking for a place to start him, like today,
This is it.
This is it. And it doesn't get any juicier for him than this. He knows how to beat the Jags. He knows how to put up points on the Jags, and I expect them to do that today.
All right. So Jags are losers.
Yes.
So we're all going Texans,
We are
right?
picking the Texans. I like this next game.
The next game is the Titans versus the Commanders. +6 on the Titans. Over under is 45. +205 if you're betting on the Titans, and -250 if you're betting on the Commanders.
I saw this great meme this week. You ever get one of those random calls on your phone and it says potential fraud warning?
Okay.
And I saw that it was just like a photo of potential fraud warning, like right off of your iPhone, and the profile picture that it was covering up was just a symbol of the Washington Commanders. And I'm like, yes, finally the public is where I've been all along. Yes, they're not good. It's a cool story.
Right.
They've had a foundational shift in Washington. Things are better. They do look better. It seems like they are going to, at some point with this group of people that they've got now, do something that the fans can be proud of. But it's not this year. It's not happening this year. They can't rush the quarterback. And that was what I said about them going into that game against the Cowboys was I felt like Cooper Rush was going to have a better game because the one thing that the Commanders don't do well is they don't rush the quarterback well. They just don't apply pressure. And they're not like they don't particularly cover well on the back end. So actually
that defense had taken a lot of strides in recent weeks in the last month and a half. Because the first month they were just that defense was horrible, and then it seemed like something switched, or maybe it was just their matchups. Who knows? But something changed, and for a month and a half, almost 2 months, the Commanders' defense is like, they're getting better. Maybe they're going to be okay. And then the last 2 weeks, they've just kind of collapsed again. So,
welcome to December,
and
right,
right when and Tennessee right now is. Playing much better football.
Now, remind me, Tennessee is the team that shuts down the number one wide receivers. Am I right?
They have L'Jarius Sneed and a really good pass defense. Yes. They have a good defense just in general.
So McLaurin is a rougher start this week.
And okay, I'm glad you brought up McLaurin because he is in, I think, in full PPR. I think he is like wide receiver number 4.
Really?
Or 5. He's top 5.
Wow.
On the season.
I would have thought top 10, not top 5.
And right, and the reason, and you'd be right to like have that thought because he's having a good season, but that Terry McLaurin's just not a guy that gets a ton of targets, and he's not. I think he has one game this season. One. Yeah, he has one game with more than 8 targets this year. One. He has one game with more than 6 catches. So everybody has been, it's been working. Like he has a game where he had 2 catches and 2 touchdowns against the Giants.
That last minute 87-yard touchdown. Yeah.
Against Dallas, he had 5 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown. So prior to that last catch, which was a 90-yard touchdown, he had 4 catches for 12 yards.
Yep.
And then ends up with 21 PPR points.
So what do you do with him this week? I mean, he's been great, but do you sit him against this Tennessee defense if you have options?
I don't. So I haven't had to make decisions on McLaurin this year. Because he was somebody that I and I didn't get the value that I should have because I traded him, and he's obviously worth more now than he was at this time last year. If you're talking dynasty,
for sure.
In redraft, I still can't see having him above. Like I would like him to be my number 3. Still, I understand that he has produced.
Yeah, he's been a strong number 2 this year.
The numbers say that. Like the gross numbers say that. Like the really important behind the scenes numbers that you look for from a guy that you expect to be like a top 5 wide receiver, he's nowhere close. And so many of them, and so many of these
but that's what I'm saying. Nobody really looks at him as a top 5 wide receiver. You look at him as a 12 to 14,
and that's what I'm saying is like for me, it's more like 20, because the floor is still incredibly low. Like 2 points against Philly, and then like he had a tremendous string of 13 or more points for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 or 9 weeks. But the first 2 weeks of the season, like if you drafted Terry McLaurin, there's a good chance that you traded out on him super low.
or dropped him.
Yeah. Or dropped him. He scored 3.5 points on 4 targets in week 1, and then he scored 8.5 points on 8 targets in week 2. and had a total at that point of 39 yards on the season.
And as a McLaurin owner, I was just like, oh crap.
And then he also has season totals of 19 and 10. And like I said before, that 90-yard touchdown, we're looking at 12.
Yeah.
So like if we're talking about,
if
he doesn't make that one play, his last 4 totals would have been 19, 113, 10, 12. And you're talking about 3 out of the last 4 weeks where he's just like touchdown or bust. And so that's a guy that
But these long passes are part of Jaden Daniels' game. So, I mean, you've got to factor them in at some point. Basically, the argument you're making is that he is not a number 1 wide receiver.
That's like
he's
saying,
a number 2, and I agree. He is a strong number 2.
Okay, so right now he has a career high in touchdowns, 7 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's tied for his career high. Okay.
Yeah.
So to me,
I'll start naming the quarterbacks.
So
he's
to
had
me, this is
throw to him before that.
Well,
but.
I mean,
he has been one snake bit wide receiver. He's been the Larry Fitzgerald of wide receivers, man. He is so great.
Or
he's had
how about DeAndre Hopkins?
What about Hopkins?
Hopkins had before Watson, and he only had Watson for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like he had some awful. Like he had like Brian Hoyer. He had Case Keenum. He had.
I'm just saying that he's one of those great receivers that is just starting to get to his potential.
Like to me, great wide receiver. Like he's fast. He's always been a great deep wide receiver.
Great route runner too.
I don't agree with that.
He's always open.
He's not, but not in the middle of the field where the chunk plays happen. That's never really been him. That's never been McLaurin. McLaurin is a outside the numbers.
I can remember him making some crazy catches over the middle. I mean,
not over the middle, deep down the field. Maybe
they're one-offs that I'm just remembering, but
he's made some great catches. He's a talented guy, but I don't think he's anywhere close to a number 1. And so what I'm just trying to get around to saying is, to me, this is like Mike Williams having a great season.
No, totally disagree with that. No.
What are you talking about? Like, so
anyway. There's no bet here because of they're playing Tennessee and I mean the whole point of the conversation was, is he going to get shut down today? You know,
I say he's been getting shut down and he's just been lucky a couple of times, and I think his luck is going to run out. That's what I'm saying.
And today is a good day for it to run out because of the tough matchup that he's against. And so some of the other options are probably what's going to be the scoring.
Zach Ertz,
who's going to score?
Zach Ertz has been awesome. So to me, I would rather start Zach Ertz. I'd be more comfortable starting Zach Ertz in my tight end position than I would be in starting McLaurin like a wide receiver 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, today. Yeah. I say today against this matchup.
Most of the time. I'm saying most of the time.
We'll have to come up with a season-long bet on McLaurin next week or something.
Don't try and brush it off like we don't have time. We got time right now. It's a small slate today, baby. Listen to this.
At 9:45, I'm cutting out because I got to make some decisions on my guillotine roster that I am just like
So Ertz got hurt and missed a good chunk of the New York game, so with that one, here are his last 5 target totals. Okay, 11, 1 in the Giants game, 8, 7, 8.
Okay, we're talking Hurts, right?
Ertz, yes, and he scored twice. He scored in back-to-back games. So yes, I would absolutely, and he seems to be the guy that Jaden finds when he needs to move the ball through the air. Like that against Philly, most of that came in the last 5 minutes of the game, including like he scored the touchdown and got it like a 2-point conversion in that game as well, I think.
So what are we doing? Ertz versus
McLaurin?
Rest of the season?
No, I'm not doing that.
Oh, okay.
No, because it's still like he's not getting. No, that's not even fair.
You're going so heavy against McLaurin here.
I didn't say I would start him over McLaurin. I said I'd be more comfortable starting him as my tight end than I would be as.
And this week, I agree.
Counting on McLaurin.
This week,
I'm saying like based on what I'm seeing, I'm saying this week after week. Like I don't think McLaurin is I don't think he's done anything this year that should change the way that you felt about him. He's just been luckier.
Oh man, I disagree with that. I think the luckier thing that you're saying is part of the Jaden Daniels experience. You know what I mean? He's going to get some of those.
I just don't. I mean, That's like saying, to me, that's the same as like you being against people being due. It's the same thing because he's not.
It's a big part of his game, though.
Unless you can prove to me that the Commanders are now throwing the ball deep more than they've thrown the ball deep in Terry McLaurin's career, and I don't think that's true because
I do.
I don't, because at the beginning of his career he had Kirk Cousins.
This is
Actually, I don't think
Commanders?
that's accurate.
I don't even know if
actually, I
that's-
don't think that's accurate.
Yeah,
I think maybe his rookie year, and it's funny because he scored 7 touchdowns.
I was
going to
say he had one real early in his career, the first or second season. He had a good season where you were just like, "Ooh, this guy's good," and then he just hasn't had a quarterback since then. And so he's just been piecing seasons together, and he's still been piecing good seasons together.
He's very consistent. Like here are his finishes.
Because he's so good.
Here are his finishes. Okay, in full PPR, and no, he never played with Kirk. He's only been there since 2019. He's just older. 29, 20, 25, 14, 28. This year he's number 5, and it's because of yards per target. He has a career high in yards per target by more than a full yard. His yards per catch are about 3 yards more than what he usually averages. This is his 3rd season of averaging more than 15 yards per catch, and this is a career high in touchdowns. And there's still 5 games to play. Touchdowns are just not something that you can predict, but he's on pace for less targets than he had last year. He's on pace for less he's on pace for the fewest amount of targets since his rookie season.
And so next year with Jaden Daniels,
So
you don't think they're going to get better? You think they're going to stay the same or not?
Next year he's going to be
there's gonna
30.
be growth.
I think they're going to draft another receiver.
Maybe, but McLaurin will still be the number 1 next year. You know,
Maybe. He's going to be 30.
we got to leave it at we have very different views of McLaurin. Like, wow.
So
He loves Terry McLaurin.
And I've won so many bets against you with him.
Random bets, but it's like look, these season numbers. These season numbers are like just a step below like someone like Amari Cooper.
This year?
Every year, because Amari Cooper scores more touchdowns, and Amari Cooper usually has more catches. Amari Cooper usually finishes with somewhere around 85 to 90 catches.
Like I say, this is the first year he's had an actual quarterback, so I'm
You say
thinking the
actual?
numbers-
He's got a rookie quarterback. The guy
Exactly.
I feel like you're not watching the games. I feel like you're watching the stat boxes.
So this is what I got out of AI. This year, with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels at the helm, the team has adopted a more aggressive offensive strategy, leading to a higher average yards per attempt. Daniels' dual threat capability has allowed the Commanders to stretch the field more effectively, resulting in increased deep ball attempts and completions. This shift aligns with the team's overall offensive importance, as they currently lead the NFC East with a 7-4 record. That being said, did you guys pick Commanders this week?
I'm not.
I am.
I am going to take Will Levis and the Titans.
All right.
I love Will Levis today.
All right, next up, Cardinals and the Vikings. Cardinals plus 3.5, over-unders 45.5, plus 154 if you're betting on the Cardinals, minus 185 if you're betting on the Vikings.
Should be an interesting game. I know where Ray's rooting.
Vikings.
Yeah.
Voting with my heart.
Yep.
A little bit with my mind.
I think the Vikings are the better team here too. And you said Vikings are at home, right?
They're at home too.
Yeah. So Vikings are the better team. Vikings are at home. This is a game the Vikings should win. And but it's funny because the Cardinals have been winning games that they should not be winning lately too. So it's like, well, who shows up? I was surprised that the Cardinals signed Connor to another 2-year deal. I thought Benson might be in the wings to take over, but they are in love with Connor.
Just got an extension.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. I was really surprised that happened.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
The way that, especially like the way this year has played out, it doesn't mean that next year all the old running backs won't just get all busted, Because I feel like that could happen too. Like we're just having like a charmed season where all these old running backs aren't getting hurt. But hey, maybe there's they figured out how to take less damage, and that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I still was my first thought when I saw it was like, I'm going to try and get Trey Benson cheap in Dynasty. I'm going to try super hard to get Trey Benson this offseason because I think it should be easier. And I actually, Trey Benson has looked good when he's been on the field. It's just that the team loves James Conner.
Yeah, that's why I was so surprised by the extension. Is I was like, well, Benson looks like he can be the man here. And then, oh, no, they really
But
like
Benson
Conner.
is young. So
Like 20 years old young? Or?
I think he's 21.
21.
Let me double check that right now.
Yeah, sounds right.
But no, he's looked really good. So I'm still 22. He's 22 now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, dude, 6'1", 223. He's built like James Conner. He's gonna get to learn from him for a couple of years. You know, yeah. I think it's a good thing. I think it's one of those things where it's like now I feel even better because like he didn't get hurt. He hasn't got a bunch of wear on him, and he's getting to learn from somebody that you would like him to kind of become like. Right. You know, if he becomes anywhere close to what James Conner has done these last couple of years since he got to Arizona. Mm-hmm. Then yeah, he's somebody you should invest in. But today, don't expect to see him a lot because we're going to see James Conner. On the other side, I was worried about Aaron Jones going into last week, and after seeing his workload last week, not worried anymore. Yeah. I think he had 27 opportunities or something like that when you count targets. It was a ridiculous number.
Yeah, they're definitely using them.
Yeah. And then it's weird. People are fading Justin Jefferson now because he's just he's had a couple of down games, but he's just it's Justin Jefferson, and
yeah, they're good. He's good,
and he's been good. Show. He's been quarterback proof too, is what we've seen. So I expect a monster game from Justin Jefferson today. And
now it does seem like Darnold's been beginning to pumpkin a little bit. Maybe he's people are figuring out what do you see? Is it Darnold just are they figuring him out a little bit? Is he just not playing as well, or is it just he's the same old guy and he's just not getting lucky with some of the things he was getting lucky with earlier?
And I think it's more that I think he's I don't want to say he's the same old guy,
mm-hmm.
but he still makes 1 to 2 throws per game. Or it's like, ooh, that was bad.
I would even 1 to 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're guaranteed 1 to 3 throws that probably should get picked.
So against better defenses, especially down the road in the playoffs, I do still expect him to struggle.
Right.
But the Cardinals have been really good. Even in losing last week, they held the Seahawks to 16 points or something like that. They've been an excellent defense. If you're looking for a defense to line up for the playoffs. The playoffs, the Cardinals have been great, so I was kind of I was wanting to pick them, but I have picked against the Vikings and been burned so many times this year, and they're at home.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to take the Vikings.
All right, go Vikes.
You too.
Yep.
Next up, Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cincinnati Bengals. +3 on the Steelers. Over/unders 46. +130 if you're betting on the Steelers. -155 if you're betting on the Bengals.
Yeah, we talked about this game a little bit in the Homer Minute, and like I say, it's going to be a good one. I honestly expect the under on this game because the over/under, what'd you say, was 50, right?
46.
Oh, it's come down. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was higher. It was higher than that earlier in the week. But I expect more of a defensive game here. I mean, that's just what our divisions do. It's what our team does. Our teams do. There are definitely if Cincinnati scores 30,
you're still going with Russell Wilson this game? Russell Wilson, is he playing this game?
Yeah, he's a streamable asset this week. I wouldn't be excited to start him, but you can start him, if you need to.
Yeah, you can drop his ass.
Yeah, I mean, Burrow's gonna score some points.
So I'll say this: I am at this point now, based on how things are lining up in my half PPR dynasty league, I am rooting against the Bengals. Because I want them. I want T. Higgins to shut it down in particular. I really don't want to see T. Higgins in Week 16. No, I'm kidding. But it's interesting because that could happen. If they lose again, then
that would give them 8 losses.
8 losses.
Yeah,
and so it would be really hard for them to.
They'd have to run the table after that,
and get lucky.
Yeah,
They would need help.
So I'm taking my Steelers here, but
So,
it's going to be a rough game on the road.
Najee Harris or Jalen Warren?
To start this week, I think you still got to go with Najee. If you're shooting for like ceiling, like no, I don't even think then. No, I think you got to start Najee. Najee's just getting the touches. He's looked good in games.
I think Jalen Warren out-touched him last week.
Really, I would be surprised to see that. Honestly, if Jalen Warren is out touching, it's because we're down.
So Jalen Warren out-snapped him last week.
Out snapped or out touched?
And touched. He had 11 carries, and he had 4 targets. And he had 13.9 BPR points because he scored the touchdown. Mm-hmm. But 57% of the snaps was a season high.
And that was a game that we were losing in.
You guys were up. It was back and forth.
Yeah.
That was the snowstorm game.
Yeah.
Which you would think Najee.
Be
You would think that Najee would benefit in that from being like the
snowstorm games are weird,
the quote
man.
unquote bruiser.
Those never quite go the way you think it's going to go. The snowstorm games, they're always end up with some
and Najee
strange
had
stats.
2 targets in the game, and Najee did have more attempts. He had 18, but he only played 39% of the snaps, which was a season low.
Yeah, I say odd game. I think Najee comes back, and it's still going to be a 60-40 split kind of thing, and Warren always has a chance to outdo him, but Najee's still the guy. He's still going to be getting the most touches overall.
Alrighty.
So.
And then definitely start George Pickens today.
Oh, for sure.
And then I think you start both Bengals wide receivers. Like, just don't even think like. And Higgins has been better than Chase in a couple of the weeks. Higgins has looked awesome.
So definitely scary.
Yeah, and
come on, TJ,
I think it's going to be a great game. Burrow's got to win one of these games.
No,
he's just been awesome.
No,
so
not this one.
Let's go Burrow.
So you're going Bengals then. All right.
So is Bezzy.
Seahawks versus
what
New
about
York
you, Ray? Where'd
Jets.
you go?
I went Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Seahawks versus. I feel like this is Pittsburgh's opportunity to knock Cincinnati out.
Yeah.
They're going to take that serious. Seahawks versus Jets. Seahawks +1. Over/under is 41.5. -105 if you're betting on the Seahawks. -115 if you're betting on the Jets. Why just a +1 spread?
Because they expect it to be a field goal game
Against the Jets?
But usually it's like two or 2.5 one way or the other. The Jets are coming off a bye.
Right. But there's also rumors that like Rodgers was gonna do what? Like the Jets are just weird, man.
They're a mess.
What is going on?
They're a huge mess. Yeah.
So we didn't even know if Rodgers was gonna play for the Jets again. And then all of a sudden, oh no, everything's fine now. And it's like, oh, okay, how is that going to translate on the field? I don't know.
It feels like their owner was just throwing a tantrum.
Pissed,
just pissed and like going around,
just saying
running
stuff.
his mouth.
Yeah.
That's really what it feels like happened in the last I'd say 6 weeks in New York. And so I don't know. I know that he's taking a position in the Trump administration.
Is he really?
He was the UN ambassador, or the U.S. ambassador for the UK, and I think he might be taking up the same position in this administration.
Yeah.
And so
I love that ambassadorships are things that are bought, but anyway, that's I don't know. I didn't mean to sidetrack. It's just
I think he has a history in politics.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that he didn't run the team day to day. During that time, he didn't hire Saleh.
Yeah.
He's not the one that hired Robert Saleh. Didn't have any kind of real connection to him. Might not be the person who's responsible for hiring the next general manager and head coach combination. And in the meantime, is just making things worse by running his mouth. So it's like either be involved or don't.
Right.
And if you're not going to be involved, then shut the fuck up.
Right. Just close the mouth, please.
Just sign the check, dude. Like you're getting paid. Like you obviously don't care if you're.
Anyway, sum it up.
I would
Jets are a
love
mess.
The Jets to pull a win today.
I feel bad
but
for
I don't
Jets
think
fans.
that's going to happen.
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
I want to see. For some reason, I still want to see the Jets pull together, and one of my fantasy teams relies on it. But even then, I just kind of want to see them to pull together for some reason.
That league is so
I was
funny,
right.
dude.
It could have happened, But
the one you're talking about, the Iron Throne.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this. Are you on the outside looking in right now of the playoffs?
I'm right on the edge. I basically need to win
because my team is currently in the
Yeah.
playoffs, and I am trying to lose. I'm trying to lose,
weird.
dude. And I mean, because my team needs more. My team's not ready to win right now. My team just needs to build up some assets.
So you can draft next week. Next
Draft,
year?
yes, and have a better draft position next year. I've got a couple on my guys on my roster that I've been wanting to unload for draft picks for somebody's playoff run, but it's this league is like extremely top heavy. There's like 3 teams that are just like really, really, really good. And it's hard. And then there's three other teams that are gonna. It's like, well, they look like they're gonna make the playoffs, but they also don't look like that they should expect to win.
They can't. Maybe they can't compete with the big.
So they're
three,
probably
big two,
unlikely
really.
to give up assets for like aging veterans and stuff like that. So it's a difficult spot to try and like sell pieces in. But anyway, my team has scored like 180 points less than his in this league. And I'm 7-5 and he's 6-6.
Yes.
And like the person I'm playing against this week, he has, I want to say, so my team has scored just over like 1,800 points, or not 1,600 points. Let me see. Hold on. I want to go to this real quick because it's really, really funny to me. So I've scored 1,609 points, and my opponents have scored 1,496. The team that I'm playing this week has scored 1,780 points. So it's outscored me by 180, but he's 6-6 because his opponents have scored 1,811 points.
Yep.
And it's not about how many
Fantasy
points
football.
you score. It's about how many points your opponent scores. And Brian has 1,767 points. So Brian's outscored me by 160 points, and he is 6-6, and I am 7-5 because his opponents have scored 1,652 points. Yeah, my team lowest point. Yeah, points for 8th, points against 12th. And that's how you do it, baby. That's how you win.
All skill.
All skill, baby. No luck.
So we all went Seahawks that game, right?
Yeah.
So listen to the starting lineup. This is so gross. All right. Baker Mayfield. All right, that's good. Rico Dowdle, James Cook, Xavier Legette, Adonai Mitchell, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Trey McBride, Nick Chubb, Curtis Samuel, Will Levis.
How are you winning? So dumb.
Oh, dude, it's. I mean, okay. So I also have like on my IR, I have Cedric Tillman, Chris Godwin, Austin Eckler. That was a big one. We didn't go over that in the Washington game. Sorry, Austin Eckler done.
Yeah.
Done for the
Out for the
season.
year,
Like he's on IR. He won't be able to come back until week 18. At which point, obviously, the season will be over unless you play in one of those weird leagues that plays like.
So it gives a little bit more
double
value
weeks.
to Brian Robinson.
Except for he's hurt. So Jeremy McNichols is going to be the.
Robinson's playing today.
He's playing today, but he's still banged up.
Okay.
So McNichols is going to be handling the passing downs, and he's also a guy that plays on short yardage sometimes. Like if Brian Robinson was the guy that got him down there and needs a breather, they're going to bring in more often than not McNichols than Eckler at within the 5 or something. So he's somebody who can score close touchdowns too. He's somebody that should not be on the waiver wire anymore. That's for sure.
Yep.
Jeremy McNichols, if he's on your waiver wire, go get him.
Nope, he's sitting on my bench.
Yeah. All right. So, what's the next game? Oh, it's a
Next
good one.
game is. Oh, I got stuff in my way. Let me think. Chargers. Okay. So we got the Chargers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Chargers are -1. Over under is 47. -118 if you're betting on the Chargers, and -102 if you're betting on the Falcons. I think the Chargers are going to pull this one out.
This is one of those coin flip games, just, man, could go either way. I think I'm going to take Atlanta. They're at home. But man, this is really, really hard game to predict here. It does feel like it could be an offensive game. It feels like the offensive pieces on both sides are start worthy this week. But yeah. God, it's so hard. Atlanta is just such a weird team. They go back and forth, and
when it's a coin flip game, you bet on the coach.
Yeah. So who's the better coach here?
Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So,
And they're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They're in Atlanta. The Chargers are coming off a loss. I said this to you guys when we were during the Monday night game. I was like, Herbert looks like he's having fun, and
That's true.
And I've never seen that before from him. He always looks kind of like almost Eli Manning-esque, with no emotion, just kind of like no matter what's going on, he's been an even keel guy. So when talented players are having fun, there's another level of awesome that comes with that. And so I just kind of feel like Justin Herbert's going to, keep getting better. And I'm going to pick the Chargers. And, I'm talking about fantasy football now. I'm going to keep telling you about that. Because I really feel like you could have turned C.J. Stroud into Herbert. Like Herbert plus, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that. You could have got, Herbert and, a couple of seconds or something that.
You can always do things looking in the rearview mirror. Hindsight's 20/20, man.
No, no. But I would
2 months ago.
I would have done it before the season. I would have people were so high on C.J. Stroud, and to me, I like C.J. Stroud, but for as great as Tom Brady was, he was mostly a somewhere between 7 to 12 starting quarterback in fantasy football.
Right.
Lower
He's
half.
One of the top guys, yeah.
Herbert is a guy who week in, week out has a chance to be number one overall, and season in, season out is going to be top 5-ish because he also runs the football. And C.J. Stroud does not do that. Herbert is a threat with his legs. So
and how much older is Herbert? 3 years, 4 years?
I don't even think it's that much. Herbert's 26, so maybe 3. Stroud's 23, I think.
So youth comes into play, and there's lots of
not for
decisions
quarterbacks.
There. I don't know. We could be totally talking about it differently at the end of the year. You know what I mean?
I just think they have different
everything
ceilings.
could change.
That's the thing.
God, this is a tough game, man. I'm waffling. Man, do I really want Atlanta?
Waffling.
This is a
I've
coin
only
flip
heard
game,
that
man.
word used like that every so often. It's so funny. You pulled
It's
it out
always
of your,
funny. Yeah.
your dictionary.
All right.
I'm just potatoing over here.
Give me the Chargers.
And Ken?
I took the Chargers.
That's right, you did. Next up, the Colts versus the Patriots. Colts -2.5. Over under is 41.5. -135 if you're betting on the Colts, and +114 if you're betting on the Patriots.
Weird. Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that it's only a 2-point spread.
I'm not.
Really?
Yeah, it's in New England.
Just feels like New England's falling apart, though. No?
No, I don't think so. They 2 weeks ago they went into Chicago and won 19-3 after their coach called them soft.
Chicago.
Well, Chicago had
They don't even know how to call timeout.
yeah, but there's right, but they have also nearly beaten. They should have beaten the Lions. Not should have. They should have gone to overtime with the Lions in a game where they were down and they were getting smashed in the first half. So for them to be able to come back was pretty impressive. In fact, that's going to get swept under the rug.
Well, Drake May has definitely shown some flashes.
Drake May is playing better.
Yeah.
I think the question is whether or not their offense, which runs through Ramondre, is going to be healthy enough to take advantage of the weak Colts defense, and I don't know. I'm wearing the Patriots jersey, you know.
Oh, okay. So you got to pick them.
I got to pick the Patriots at home today. I'm doing that.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts here.
And no Josh Downs today. There's no Josh
Right.
Downs for the Colts, which he has been the safety valve for Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson has looked better.
Definitely. That's what I was just about to bring out.
Since
It's
he's come
the
back.
last week or two.
But he is trusting Josh Downs, I think, a lot. Downs has led the team in targets, and so it's going to be interesting to see whether he can maintain that consistency, throwing to just like Pittman and Pierce and Adnan
So is
Mitchell.
Pittman a start this week?
I would start him for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd be a solid.
So like
number
I would
three.
rather start Pittman than McLaurin.
You keep bringing up, but McLaurin has a horrible matchup this week.
I like betting against McLaurin.
Yeah. Next week. Next week, let's do that.
Coward.
Yeah.
So we all went Colts except for Ken went Patriots.
Ooh, I get the
It's
lone wolf on the
9
Patriots at home
Yes,
today.
you do.
It's 9:30.
No
so
Josh
pull out
Downs.
your
What could go
DraftKings
wrong?
lineups.
9:30.
9:30.
I was
and
just
we're done
making
with the morning
adjustments
games.
to mine because I don't want to count on Devonta Smith playing today.
Yeah, I
We
haven't
still
gotten.
don't know.
You know what? Let me look that up real quick.
I still saw that he was questionable, but that's on DraftKings.
It should be. We should. know
Bless
by
you.
Now.
So I guess I got mine pulled up. So I guess I'll go first. I got quarterback Justin Herbert,
You do.
5,600. Yep, against the Atlanta Falcons. C. Brown in Cincinnati.
Chase Brown.
Williams on the Rams. Rams. They've been using him a little bit more. D. London out of Atlanta. Conkey.
Lad.
Conkey.
He's a good lad.
Donkey.
Another Chargers player. And then Shepard from Tampa Bay. I'm hoping.
Sterling Shepard.
I'm hoping.
Interesting.
Well, he was my cheap player of the day. And
How much was he?
It was 4,000. He was my save a buck. And I'm hoping. What's the quarterback's name? I'm lost. I know the name. Tampa Bay quarterback.
Baker.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he continues to just spread the ball out and give him some targets. And then Goddard on my Philadelphia, and on flex I got Kamara, and with my defense it was either like the Titans or the Cardinals, and I went Cardinals.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I copied you on the Cardinals there. Did you go? You went with Herbert at quarterback? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so did I.
Same.
Okay, yeah, and he's just safe this week.
5,600 is way too low for
It's
Justin
just too
Herbert
low. He's
against the Falcons.
Pretty much guaranteed 16, 17 points, which is
I feel
good
like
enough. And then
I
he can
think-
definitely do more.
I think he'd be more expensive if that game had happened on Sunday night instead of Monday night.
Right,
We're
prices
getting the
hadn't
Monday night
changed yet.
discount because I think like people were like I said, he's been playing better fantasy football wise. They've been scoring more and they've been putting up more yards. More things have been happening on through the air for their offense. And I think once people saw how well they performed, even against a team like the Ravens, whether you're actually aware of the fact that the Ravens are one of the worst teams against the pass or not, it would have looked a little bit different. Anyway, I think he's just super cheap.
So yeah, so Herbert and McConkey are my stack right there.
Same. We all went that way.
Running backs, I went with Bucky Irving, going against the worst defense for against running backs.
Worst defense in the league, probably just in general.
Carolina, right?
Because they're
And Bucky Irving has just been soaking in all the touches now. Like it's his show.
So hold on,
Rashad
hold
White
on.
Bucky
Let him
hold
finish
on.
his lineup. Let him finish
Not
his
much.
lineup. And then argue his.
It's these box score watchers. I'm telling you.
All right. Bucky Irving, Alvin Kamara has a great matchup this week. Should be very steady. Nico Collins, again, has a great matchup. And Brian Thomas Jr. With his quarterback back has a good chance to do something and has a good floor, I think. Dallas Goedert at my tight end. Because Devontae Smith looks like he's going to be out. Whenever Devontae Smith is out, Goddard has a good game. My flex, I just needed to save some money, and so I went with another tight end that has a good matchup today, and Kate Otten is going against Carolina. So
4,500.
4,500. So saving some money there, and then Cardinals DST is very cheap, going against Minnesota. And hey, Darnold can Darnold, and if he throws that pick or two, then the Cardinals D is going to look real good. So nice little savings there, and that's it. I did not do a tournament lineup this week, so only cash.
All right.
Are you done tinkering over there, Ken?
I'm trying to be. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, I like that better. I'll do that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm ready. So like I said, I also have Herbert at 5,600. So I was gonna poo-poo Bucky Irving. Not his value is great, and I think you should be starting him anywhere that you have him today. But he still played the same amount of snaps last week. It was a similar amount of touches to like some of the higher touch count weeks that he's had throughout the season. So he was just really successful, and he almost scored 3 times against the Giants. So I just want people to like they love Rachaad White over there, and Todd Bowles has been very upfront about wanting to use both running backs, and Todd Bowles is on the higher level of like in terms of trustworthiness and like the things that he says being actually true. Is not one of those coaches that spends his time trying to trick the media or use that as a strategy. So that's all I'm saying. Still expect Bucky Irving to have a great day, especially for $5,800. I think he's a great play. My other running back is Kyron Williams. So I've got overlap with both of you guys. We all chose to stack Herbert and McConkey. So that, apparently that was just, the clear and obvious value stack of the week. I think there's a couple other ones. Like I almost went Levis and Ridley. Because Levis is 5K flat.
Right.
And Ridley,
Anthony Richardson was interesting.
And Anthony Richardson's interesting. If he wasn't on the road, if he was at home, I would have liked him. But also Calvin Ridley's 5,700. Didn't get him into my lineup. But anyway, could have. I've got McConkey at 61. I've got Michael Pittman at $5,200, which with no Josh Downs, it seems like a steal for Pittman. Then I've also got Brian Thomas Jr. at 5,500. I've got Hunter Henry at 4,200.
It's a good one.
And then I've also got Alvin Kamara at 7,700. And my defense is the Patriots at home.
All right.
For 2,500. We still have 200 left, so I could have gone like Hunter Henry to Dallas Goedert or like Brian Thomas to Calvin Ridley, but I think I'm going to stick with this.
Yep. Interesting decisions this week on DraftKings.
I did have a tournament lineup, so I'll just
throw it out there.
Shoot that out there. Why not? We'll go with Bryce Young at 4,700.
Okay.
Hey, I'm starting to feel real smart about Bryce Young and Will Levis because I am invested in them in more than just the Iron Throne. I think I have 3 leagues where I have both of them because I was able to get them so cheap.
Get them cheap, yeah.
And if they're gonna play like they've played the last 2 weeks, they're absolute steals. And I said this before last week's games. People are talking about the potential quarterback positions that are going to be open this offseason. I don't think Carolina and Tennessee are going to be on the list. I don't.
All right.
Bryce Young, 47. At running back, let's go Chuba Hubbard and Bucky Irving. At wide receiver, let's go Mike Evans, Xavier Legette to stack back against him, and then Nico Collins. At tight end for 4K, I've got Will Dissly at Atlanta. In my flex, I've got T. Higgins against Pittsburgh. And then my DST is going to be the Jets.
Ooh, okay.
At home against Seattle for 2,500. And this one used up every dollar. So, yeah,
Jets
this one
we
are
team.
stacking Panthers and Bucks. That is the game, I think, today is the guarantee for fantasy points.
Okay.
Speaking of the Panthers and Bucks.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I'm surprised that none of us had Mike Evans in our cash lineup today. He was a little expensive at 6,700.
He was the thought.
But he's like, I mean, I feel like one of these now. I'm still not counting him out for 1,000 yards this season, even though now he needs like 102 yards per game or something like that. I think he's going to get at least close, and we're going to get a monster game in this next stretch of games. We're going to get like a Mike Evans 10 catches, 140 yards, and 2 touchdown game.
He definitely has those.
It's gonna, yeah, he does, and I think we're going to get one.
Next up, Bucks and Panthers. Bucks -6.5. Over under is 46. -278 if you're betting on the Bucks, and +225 if you're betting on the Panthers.
So the Bucks are going to put up a lot of points. It's just whether Carolina's going to be able to keep up.
They've been keeping up.
They have been. They've definitely been improved the last couple of weeks.
They almost beat Kansas City.
Yeah, which I think every team in the league can say at this point. But
They've been feeling like they've been playing down. Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that on the way over. There's some like people are starting to they're getting those fraud warnings too. Like,
Yeah, right.
but this Carolina team, I've been talking about it all year. I like what they did in the draft.
So you started Hubbard. What about how you've been one of the guys very high on Brooks.
I love Jonathan Brooks. He
So-
didn't get he only got 2 carries in his first game. I think that was to be expected. Like I wanted to see him, but I wasn't really like expecting to see him.
Expected to see more than 2 touches though, right?
I kind of did. I
Yeah.
did, but it's like
I expected 5 or 6 at least.
And yes, I expected them to try to get him the ball.
Just to see what he can do. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that they didn't isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like because they it means that they're not like just throwing everything at the kitchen sink, just trying to do something new. They like the guys that they have. They've done some cleaning. They've got rid of Deontay Johnson, and they got rid of Jonathan Mingo. And so I think they like the guys that they have now. Adam Thielen is back. Is another person that was to me could have been played in DFS. Really easily, because Adam Thielen is just whenever he plays, he's just a target earner, and he is just one of the best all time in the red zone.
How much does he cost anyway? I didn't
Like
think to look him up.
like at this point in his career, he kind of reminds me of like late stage Chris Carter.
Okay. Yeah.
All he does is score fantasy points. So I like what they're doing right now. Really upset to see what happened to Jatavian Sanders last week. That was a real unfortunate play. He went out on a stretcher, had to go to the hospital. Supposedly he's doing better. Hope he gets better soon. I love Xavier Legette, and with Adam Thielen back, I feel like the roof could come off for Legette. Like he's looked great, and all areas of the field. Like I just think that kid's gonna be a monster.
Okay. But so basically, you're all in on the Bryce Young turnaround. So
well, it was really just there was this play that he made last week, where defender comes in on his right side, unblocked, and he fires a bullet right past the defender. There's no way he could have seen exactly where the ball is going. Just fires a bullet to exactly where he knows that he needs to put the ball. And it was a beautiful pass. Mm-hmm. It was exactly where I believe it was a running back running out into the flat, needed the ball to be, and there's no way that he saw it. And I was like, that play right there is the Bryce Young that we were told about going into last year's draft. This is like when they compared him to Drew Brees. This is the kind of stuff they were talking about because he's an undersized guy that plays with anticipation and intelligence and has the accuracy and arm strength to make all of the throws. We just hadn't seen it yet.
No, we had not.
But we've been seeing it the last couple of weeks. The fantasy production hasn't been there yet. But I think that is like I said, he's getting Thielen back today. Jonathan Brooks is just getting worked into the mix. I think as their weapons continue to advance, like Bryce Young is somebody that can take advantage of that. I do.
and he the difference has been visible in his game. Like just in, I'm not watching Panther games. Like, ooh, Panthers are on. But I'm always seeing highlights. I'm always a red zone. You're seeing plays and this and that, and you're seeing plays out of Bryce Young, and I'm just like, whoa. Oh,
and you're seeing
I've never seen him.
drives.
Yes, I've never seen him have such accuracy. Seems like he knows what he's doing. Has some kind of confidence that he didn't have before. It's just coming back off the bench, getting benched, and then coming back, just something switched, and he's been
so
good.
weird how so many of these quarterbacks just need a little bit of time on the bench. You
Yeah.
know, like watching live action from a place where they're not having to make all the decisions.
Right.
You know, being that
Have
close
somebody
to it.
have an
Because
example
Like you
for
just
you, yeah.
know what you can do physically, and like being able to see it, but not have to like make those decisions, like not be in it, and then also like mentally be able to just imagine yourself in it. You know, like there's it's not like, so it's weird because it'd be like getting hired at like the cheese plant and being just being like, oh, this person is they're highly educated, they've been they've studied mechanics or whatever. Okay, just go run that machine. You might kill somebody. Nobody, no profession other than apparently pro football do we like put 22-year-old kids in a decision to like live or die, essentially. And they didn't used to do it in football. All these guys used to sit, and even Mahomes is the gold standard of the modern NFL. Didn't play his rookie year.
Yeah, sat for full. Well, he played like one.
He
game
wasn't
or
even
something
gonna
like
play.
that, yeah.
He wasn't even gonna play in his second year until Alex Smith got hurt.
Oh, was that his second year?
That was his second year.
Oh, okay.
He got drafted in 2017.
Okay. I thought he sat for 1 year. I didn't realize he sat for almost 2.
No, it wasn't almost two. It's just Alex Smith got hurt early in the season.
Was it early?
Yeah, I believe so. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Was Alex Smith was the starter for his second season, and he got hurt.
I thought it doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm over here going over my guillotine decisions. So go. Feel free to talk away here.
So we're all going Bucks, right?
Yeah, I've
Yes.
talked so glowingly about the Panthers, and now I'm going to pick the Bucks. But but I think it's going to be a close game. The Buccaneers, and that's why I like this game for fantasy so much.
Bucks defense
is the
sucks.
Bucks defense just kind of their Swiss cheese. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up is the Rams versus the Saints. Rams are -3. Over/under is 49. -148 if you're betting on the Rams, and +124 if you're betting on the Saints. Traditionally, the Rams always beat the Saints.
No, I was wrong. They moved to Alex Smith. They moved him out. So Mahomes did
That's
start
right.
his second.
That's what I remembered. Yeah. So how do you feel about your Rams today, brother?
I think we could pull this win off against the Saints. I think the Saints are going to get.
Oh, you have
Where's
to
the
win this game.
over/under on it? 49. Because
This is another one that's fun for fantasy football.
yeah, because I mean the Saints
just-
are going to get all their running back like yards that they can get today, right? Like that's just going to happen against the Rams.
And to me, it's whether or not they can score.
Yeah,
It's whether or not
it's a struggle in the red zone.
it's whether or not they're able to keep up with the Rams, I think. 'Cause I think the Rams are going to score points today.
I think Kupp and Nakua are starting to get their touches a little bit more. Higbee, I think, is still out. I read something about him in the news. I just wish the Rams would get their tight ends more involved. Hopefully we can see something along those. It's like McVay came in with this fancy playbook and then made no changes over the years on it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
It's just really, really, because we always know that offenses stay ahead of the defenses, right? And then like the following season, the defenses know all the offensive tricks, so they got stuff. And the offensive has to come up with new plays and new ways of doing things.
I feel
And it's
like you guys
McVay
used to
just
be
didn't.
better at designing plays that looked exactly like other plays in your playbook.
Mm-hmm.
And like there'd be a lot of times where it's like it was really hard to figure out what the Rams were doing on play in, play out, because it looked exactly like the last play, except for this time you guys ran the ball instead of passed the ball, or this time you handed it off to the wide receiver who ran through in motion. And like, because I remember when Robert Woods was on the team, Robert Woods would get a handful of carries every week. It seemed like he was very Deebo Samuel-ish. And he didn't have the effectiveness that Deebo did, but it was effective enough that you guys would keep doing it, and you guys would, off of the same action, you guys would run end arounds, you'd run trap plays up the middle with your running backs, you'd run play action, all off the same motion, and I don't feel like it's even in the playbook anymore.
It's almost as if the players that they have now, like, just haven't proven that they could handle that kind of a package or something, because it's just kind of weird. Anyway, are you guys going Rams or are you guys going Saints?
I'm picking the Rams.
Okay. Brian?
This is a tough one. I'm going to take the Rams.
Ooh. Okay.
He didn't want to. He wanted to pick the Saints. I think he wanted.
He thought about it.
Is what it is.
I just want Kamara to have a good game. That's my hopes. But like as far as a game call, this is a 50-50 game to me. It's like
always inner turmoil with fantasy, right? Because it's like I'm a Rams fan,
This
but
is
I
what
pick
I want
Kamara
to
on the
happen,
draft
yeah.
Kings, so it's always like inner turmoil. Yeah, that's the part I don't like.
oh, that's right. And I'm rooting against the Rams receivers today. So
I'm not.
So next up, we got the Eagles versus the Ravens. The Eagles are +3, over unders 51, +120 if you're betting on the Eagles, -142 if you're betting on the Ravens.
game of the week right here, huh?
Is it? Baltimore should win this, right?
I think the Eagles are going to win.
I think the Eagles are the better team.
That the Eagles defense has just really turned around in the last month and a half.
Yeah, and to
I'll
me
unwolf
that
it.
is the difference.
Yes,
I
they've been
will
so
love
good,
it.
and the Baltimore
so good.
defense has just got some big holes. They've got big weaknesses, and Philly's going to be able to take advantage of them.
Yeah. The thing is that so the
Start
Eagles
beating.
want to run the ball, and run the ball, and then run the ball, and then run the ball again. That's what they want to do. That is actually where the Ravens are good
Right.
on defense. So I think the Eagles are going to have to open it up a little bit. And so, like, if Devonta Smith doesn't play today, like the Ravens have,
And he's not
I think
expected to,
It's
just
more of
gotta
a
throw
more of a
that out
coin
there.
flip. But Saquon Barkley's just been so good
I
that
know.
there's no way I'm betting against him. I'm super excited to watch this game for like watching Saquon Barkley on one side and Derrick Henry on the other, because they've been asked about each other throughout the week. So I just expect them both to be ready to show off, this weekend. I expect monster games from both Henry and Barkley today. And it's funny because like those are two strengths of the defenses, but I think that those two running backs are they're so special. And
They're gonna get it done, huh?
And I think they're going to be determined to have a good game against each other.
So you guys are going Eagles?
I'm going Eagles.
This is like Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith in their prime.
Going at it, huh?
Like we just don't get to see matchups like this anymore. Where it's like
I hope it lives up to the hype, because this looks like it's going to be a great game against two quality, potential Super Bowl bound opponents.
These are two teams that generally don't fail to show up.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Should be a good one.
I expect a good game.
Next up is San Francisco 49ers, the evening game versus Buffalo Bills. 49ers are +6.5, over under is 44.5, +225 if you're betting on the Niners, and -278 if you're betting on the Bills.
This game, it's so funny how dramatically different this game would feel if it was in San Francisco today.
What was it, like 3 feet of snow they got this morning or something like that?
More. I saw the Bills players leaving their parking lot, and their cars were buried, like under multiple feet of snow, like
So,
over
yeah.
their cars.
So serious snow game happening
serious
tonight.
snow game tonight. And this is like we're talking like Patriots Bills from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So you're
Where
saying
I think-
McCaffrey's going to
remember that game where the Patriots threw the ball twice? I think they almost won that game.
Did they?
No, they did. I think they did win that game, and they threw the ball twice. Remember?
I remember that happening, but I don't like.
I think they won that game.
That's crazy. I hope just for viewing that it's not that kind of a game, but
It's gonna be ugly. I think. I like you're talking 10-7. Like this is gonna be
so fantasy wise, like,
And
does
that's-
that mean we're benching most of our players here? I mean, you got to keep your running backs in, right? I mean, McCaffrey's not going anywhere. James
There's no way
Cook
you're
is gonna
sitting
be good.
McCaffrey at this point in the season.
And James Cook, you can say that too.
And well, James Cook, I'm not as worried about because like the Bills are like this is their
Their
home.
weather, yeah.
And they've been good in snowy games at home, and on that surface, you know, depending on how it is, like sometimes the running backs have more of an advantage because they know where they're going.
Yeah.
And like so the cutting is just easier for them than it is for defenders. So I would still start both of these running backs.
Anybody
if I
else?
could avoid it, I want to avoid both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Which feels terrible. Like George Kittle's like tight end 1, and like you're probably looking for somebody else to start today. That's it for me. Like it's really like start both defenses, start the running backs, and God help you with anything else. Like,
Yep. That's how I see it too. And I will take the Bills. I mean, San Francisco is reeling as it is, and then going cross country into a snowstorm. I mean, that's a big ask.
No
right
Nick
there.
Bosa
I'm not saying they
still.
can't do it. Yeah, there you go. But
Yeah.
but Bills are looking like a
so,
Super Bowl team right now.
The Bills look really good.
Yeah.
I like the Bills a lot, and right now they would be my pick to win the AFC for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like the 49ers are going to find a way to win this game.
Wow. Okay.
And like Nick Bosa being out, I think would actually be worse if the weather was better. And you needed him to rush Josh Allen. So if he's going to miss a game, like this is probably a good one, like just because of the way that the weather turned out. Ooh, I'm lone wolfing on this one too. Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, you're taking a big dog here. This is almost a touchdown dog you're taking. So I mean, that's a big lone wolf.
yeah, I don't feel great about it. But
Are we talking you out of it?
no, no. The Bills. The Bills did get run over by the Ravens. So, is Trent Williams playing today?
No idea.
That's a big one. That's actually gonna. If Trent Williams is playing, I'm gonna pick the 49ers, and if Trent Williams is not playing, I'm picking the Bills. The Bosa one is not as important to me, but that is.
So we're just waiting for them to look that up real quick. Take time to tell you guys. Go ahead.
No, okay, he's not
Out.
playing.
Yeah,
All right,
he's ruled out.
I'm taking the Bills. Sorry, I'm taking the Bills. No Trent Williams, no Bosa. They're not trying to win this game, I don't think.
Next up is the Browns Monday Night Football versus the Denver Broncos. +6 if you're betting on the Browns. Over under is 42. +215 if you're betting on the Browns. -265 if you're betting on the Broncos.
Broncos, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you have to take the Broncos here, but I tell you what, if I'm betting, I'm taking Cleveland in the
How long
points.
before we start getting like the Bo Nose stuff coming back for Bo Nix?
Oh, no, come on. They got to do something original.
Who knows what I'm
man.
talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
You do. Bo Nose?
Yeah.
From Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson, yeah. They had that big commercial series going on.
Yes.
Bo knows this, Bo knows
Bo knows,
that.
yeah, Bo knows everything, yeah.
I don't think that's coming back, but
I bet you
You think
it
so?
will. I think it will. He keeps
you got
playing,
that nostalgia for it?
He keeps. Well, we're just as a society, we're nostalgic for stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
I will give you that.
And so, I mean, who was the last Bo to be a good football player? Name another Bo. Between Bo Jackson and Bo Nix. Name another Bo.
Nah, nothing comes to mind, but
Right?
yeah,
Right?
all right.
Eh?
All right. You heard it here first.
he's
More
willing
commercials
it,
coming.
trying to will it into existence.
I think Cleveland keeps this close, though. Jameis
I
Winston
think they're going to
has
keep
been-
every game close because
He's been playing good.
J Bo wins, man. He's awesome.
Yeah. He has not had, I mean, he still has a couple of throws a game, kind of like Sam Darnold, you know what I mean?
Very.
But the rest of his game. It seems like he's really tightened up. He's gotten better riding the bench over the last couple of years. And
He's a better leader than he was.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, he's just a much better leader than he was when he left Tampa Bay.
So I had benched Shaker. Let me see. Did I say his name?
Bench who?
Shakir,
Shakir.
Oh,
I benched him for Douglas from New England.
Demario Douglas.
shit.
I'd rather do that.
Oh shit! I forgot about Shakir in my lineup. Oh, I gotta get him out.
Yeah, right. Because we mentioned the snow, and I was like, "Oh, wait a
forgot.
minute! I got
Yeah.
him." Like I made the switch this morning, and then I just switched back right now.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
I just now thought about it. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! We're not throwing the ball this game." Whew! Almost made a freaking blunder there. So next game up is Thursday night football. Green Bay Packers versus Detroit Lions. Green Bay's got plus 4.5. Over unders 51.5. Plus 180 if you're betting on the Packers. Minus 218 if you're betting on the Lions. I'm going Lions. This seems obvious, but
This is going to be a good football game. I expect it to be a high-scoring game. And
so does the line.
I think the Lions are going to win.
Me too. Get it in time?
No, not for the 10 o'clock game, but I had a good switch. I've switched in K. Dotton for him, so I'm all right.
This is the guillotine?
No, this is one of my other.
Oh, okay.
No, not in the guillotine.
I was going to be like,
Are you
what?
kidding me?
Which one was this in?
No, this is my other dynasty league. So that I'm in the playoff hunt for. So.
Packers Lions. Who you got?
Oh, I got a good game going on here. I got Lions though. But I think Packers are going to play them tough. Should be a fun game.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
But again, Detroit is just the class of the NFC right now. So until somebody proves me wrong, I'm picking Detroit.
They're just so good.
Yes.
They're so like they took their foot off the gas on Thursday for sure. I feel like in the second half they came out a little flat, and it's funny because like they had kind of a flat game against the Texans, and then they come out against who was the next week after that, Jacksonville, or was it? It was Jacksonville, and put up 52 on Jacksonville. And I kind of expect a similar thing to happen on in this game here, where they come out and the offense is just a machine, and they go out and they score and score and score and score and score because they're going to come out upset that they almost lost.
Now, just thinking of their Super Bowl chances, Aiden Hutchinson, do you happen to know what's going on with him?
When he got hurt, the original projection was that if they made it to the NFC Championship game.
Oh, it's that late. Oh, I was thinking like he would be coming back at the end of the season.
No.
Okay.
He's walking though. I've seen that.
All right, so that's for next year. Okay, well that's.
But I expect them to get there. I expect them to get to the championship game.
But
And then you're talking then he gets a warm-up game before the Super Bowl.
then he can still cause some havoc.
And then, yeah.
He is damn good. I tell you what,
He is, and they've still been pretty decent without him.
they've been really good without him.
Yeah.
It's been surprising. So sorry, Ray. What were you saying?
Just a couple of follow-up questions. Ken, how many games before our league of record is in the playoffs?
Just two.
2? Okay.
This week and next week.
Do you know the current standings?
Nope.
No? Okay. I was just curious.
I know I'm out.
Like mathematically out?
Oh God, yes. Yeah.
I was
Okay.
gonna say I've got it right here.
I've been out for a couple weeks. It was not a good season for redraft for me.
So what you want to know? Like who's making the playoffs or what?
Yeah. It was just,
It's slim.
Slim Eagles
luck
for sure
beating-
has a bye. Team Hernandez has the other.
Good luck beating Slim this year, guys.
Murder Villains. Omar Velas to Tebow. I don't get what that.
Oh, marvelous Tebow.
Oh, gotcha.
oh, he's new this season too.
Yeah, that's Omar.
And then me and Faith. Is that Faith?
Faith
time?
in Me?
Faith in me.
Faith
Yeah,
in me.
Faith in me.
That's our first champ. That's Chris.
Yeah.
Who
So
am I
those are the teams right now.
Yeah, and there's
Are you on the edge or
and
what?
like Steve's on
I
the
think
edge.
so.
And Ray's on the edge.
Let's see where you at.
Yeah, there's a couple people that aren't knocked out yet. But to be honest with you, I'm not at all.
Oh yeah, you're right on the line, brother. You just basically, if you win this week and next week, you'll get in. Almost guaranteed.
Oh, big play to Ramondre. Yep. Yep.
So that's it for all our games and all our predictions. Don't forget that we are on YouTube at Fantasy Football Theories. So check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment. Tell us where you came from, what podcast platform. And looking ahead towards the next season, if you think there's a better time, let us know in the comments for us to do this show, okay?
Other than that, we'll be here next week at 8:30.
8:30 Pacific Standard Time.
Enjoy your football, people. See you.
Crush it.